This is the Connecticut Water Guy Hour. And now here's your host, Paul, your Connecticut Water Guy.
Hi, welcome back to the Connecticut Water Guy Show. This is Paul with Advanced Water Systems here in Richmond, and we've got Ethan in the studio.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. So this is the Water Guy Show, and if you're first tuning in, we wanted to go ahead and say thank you right off the bat. It's sometimes hard to find, but we're building a following here, and we talk about all things water as it relates to the water that comes into your house. So that's pretty much what the whole show is all about, water, as you might imagine. But we're based here in Richmond here. We have a water treatment company, and we do residential and commercial, industrial, pretty much every type of treatment of water, except for wastewater, which is nasty. Everybody has limits, but we take all the problems on any water that's coming in, and we've got special equipment and programs and things that we can use to make that water better. So everybody listening to the show has water coming into their house. They have to, because you can't have a house without water. It's not even legal. But this is actually our, did you say 9th?
Yeah, technically it's the 9th new show.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're on number 9. It's probably like week 14 or something like that, maybe 15. So
yeah, we had to do a couple of repeats from just everything was so crazy busy.
Yeah.
So this is episode 9. Then it's a huge milestone. And again, I just want to thank everybody that's tuning in. I know that we've got some folks out there that we hear from that are our existing customers, and it's pretty cool. You can stream this and on the Boomtown Richmond app every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Mm-hmm. We're working on getting the podcast up and running. So if you go to our website, the ConnecticutRichmond.com website, you'll be able to find all sorts of information about us. You can get the process started for fixing your water, or at least finding out what's in it that might need fixing. And then you can actually also go out and find some YouTube videos. We have the Connecticut Richmond channel, and we're working on the podcast of all these episodes in our Water Guy library that's out there in podcast land. Which I don't really understand how all that works. I just know that I talk, and it ends up being preserved and available for you to listen at your leisure. So, so a little bit about me. And I hate saying it that way. That just sounds like it's all about me. But
the people love to hear about you.
Everybody wants to know what's my story with this. And it really goes back to, I started as a Connecticut customer, mainly because I was an overeducated consumer. So I really knew everything that was out there, and I knew that the Connecticut product was actually the best. So I was overeducated on what I was getting into, but I was also real frugal. So I was kind of stuck, like everybody. We've all got things that we'd rather spend our money on than water. Water, we kind of joke around. It's not sexy. You can't drive that around the neighborhood. But it's definitely one of those things that you get your bang for the buck in ways that you can't necessarily always understand at the beginning. And of course, there's price. Everybody's always sticker shock, because you really have no idea how much any of this stuff costs, because most people don't even know if they need anything. So basically, I was in charge of installation programs for a large big box home improvement store way back, and over the course of my 13-year career there, I was very familiar with the Connecticut product, because I was up in the Milwaukee market. And it was the primary service provider is what it was called up there. And so they got me up to speed as to all the details on that and why it crushes the competition and why it's a great fit for that particular company. And so I kind of assumed everybody was like that. And then I transferred down to the Richmond market in 2010, and I was exposed to the rest of the options that are out there. And I got up to speed on those, and I remember thinking to myself, this doesn't sound like it's anywhere near as good as the Connecticut. So I kind of knew that the Connecticut was definitely something that if I was going to buy or if I needed water treatment, the Connecticut would be the way to go. And the price tag really wasn't much different. And actually, the price tag on the competitors is typically higher, if you can believe that. So you're getting a product that's not as good, and you're paying more for it. So that just intrigued me. So we made some changes with that company that I was with, and we substituted the Connecticut stuff in, and the other folks got to take a back seat, and that was a good move. And then they were in the stores, and I got a chance to meet these folks. And really get to understand the product way deeper than I had already done before. And literally, I became a customer. And I'm on county water. So it's one of those things, I didn't really think that I needed anything. But every day I would see evidence of problems. And we actually covered that in a previous episode of the things you can see or smell or taste. I was seeing these things, but it really wasn't top of mind. I just figured it is what it is. Long time ago, I grew up in Iowa, and we drank from the hose after it got cool enough that it didn't taste like rubber anymore.
I remember those days too.
It's terrible. Don't do that. If you still do that, don't do that. They have found that is very, very bad for you. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I just figured it was kind of it is what it is type situation, and so I ended up becoming a customer. They came on out and actually tested my water and showed me what was in it, and showed me actually with a few demonstrations what my water would be like if it was properly treated. So I was like, oh, well, that's pretty intriguing. And really it's amazing once you understand water. You get to see how many parts of your life it impacts. Everything from, how many clothes you have to buy. People don't even think about that, but if you're dealing with water that's hard, for example, you're washing your clothes in hard water, and hardness is calcium. It basically is dissolved in your water. But you take your wet clothes out of the washing machine, which they're not even really being rinsed very well. That's a whole separate conversation, but the soap still stays on them for the most part, but they're still wet. And then you put them in the dryer. And I remember I was shocked within a few weeks of getting my system. The dryer, I'm pretty fanatical about making sure that I check the lint, the little screen that everybody has. Yeah. I check that every single time because, the one time I don't check it, that's when the thing is going to set on fire like they always scare you about. Yep. But it used to have a decent amount of stuff in it all the time. I just figured that's how it is, that it's supposed to have stuff in it. It's a lint trap, right? Right. Well, after I got a water softener and a dechlorinator to take out the chlorine and the ammonia that's actually in the county water, my wife's going to kill me here, but she never checks the lint screen. So I remember I was doing laundry and I checked the lint screen and I was like, oh, it's clean. She must actually start to be changing this thing. and I let it go because I saw there was just a little teeny tiny bit of stuff in there. Right. Didn't even bring it up to her. But I realized after a few more loads that it wasn't her. It was actually the water was not tearing my clothes up, because when the water is in the dryer, all the calcium that's in the water is now drying out, right? The water's going away, and the calcium is turning back into crystals little molecular razor blades, so to speak. So what was happening is you're drying your clothes, they're tumbling around, and you're creating these little microscopic razor blades that's literally chopping your clothes into little pieces.
Yeah.
And the lint trap collects all the stuff that it saws off of your clothes. So those are just some of the things that I didn't realize going into it, that it definitely impacts you, because clothing, my gosh, everything's so expensive now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, if you can prolong buying clothes, even months of prolonging that, usually a clothes budget, if you've got a family, that's a pretty significant thing. So if you can stretch your dollar by improving your life in other ways, it just makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so Ethan's a little under the weather here.
I was
low
under
energy
the weather
today.
Yeah, a little bit, but we're getting back into it. At least I'm not where I was Tuesday. That was a rough
good.
day.
I didn't want to be around you Tuesday. Yeah, I was. It's been one of those brutal weeks. But anyway, so yes, I started as a customer. I found out all these cool benefits, and we would love to. I've basically devoted my life to this now. So it's something that it's passion. I remember when the executive coaches would bring me in, for the annual, and they'd ask you those probing questions about, what with this company are you passionate about? And I'm sitting there looking at them, and I'm like, there's really nothing that I'm passionate about in this business. But I started to understand water treatment, and I can honestly say that this is one of those things that I have a passion for, because it's not just, everybody that's competitive loves, quote, selling stuff. The more stuff you sell, the better you are for some reason. But it's not about that. It's about helping people. It's about finding the challenge, what's in the water, what's a good fit for this customer based on what's in the water. What's a good we don't ever sell something or try to sell something that somebody doesn't need. And that's what really sets us apart from a lot of these other folks that are out there. They're in it to try to drive up the average ticket, the price of the job as high as they can, and put add-ons in there. It's kind of like if you were like to buy a car, they're going to try to add in everything, the windshield protection and
the paint protector,
all that stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
It may work, it may not work. They don't care. They just want to sell it.
Yep.
That's not at all what we do. We have testing stuff that is far superior than any of our competitors that are out there. And if any of them are listening to this, yes, I called you out. I did. So what we've done, everybody that's a potential customer needs to understand, what's in the water, obviously, and then what the options are. But then the big question is, who do you want to earn your business? And that's an expensive question sometimes. Water treatment can range anywhere from a basic sediment filter that's installed under $700, and that's the best of the best. It's got a 10-year warranty type thing, all the way on up to, I've got one customer that has an $80,000+ system in their house. It's some water problems or situations are so tricky that it takes a professional and professional grade equipment to be able to address it. But basically, you're trying to figure out what is a good option for you in terms of what's going to fit into the budget, and that's a tricky question. The budget it's one of those things, you get this number in your head and you're like, I can't spend more than $100 a month on this. But then you start going through, and we just had this. And I know I'm going all over the place on this episode, but it's fun and it's our show. So
yeah.
So this one customer had they had it in their mind that they weren't going to spend more than $40 a month on drinking water.
Right.
But we see water bottles and the cooler and everything sitting there. And we were asking those questions. Well, how many bottles are you actually buying? And we got down to it. They were spending $128 a month in bottled water.
Jeez.
And I was like, that's just crazy. It's not like we're going to add a $100 bill to be able to have your own system.
Right.
We're actually going to get rid of habits that you're doing now and still save you money. So it's not always about spending money. It's about turning it into smart spending, which actually can save you money. So yeah, that was a pretty real time. That just happened actually last week. But that was the difference between, no, I can't afford that. That's not in the budget. To, holy cow, I'm already spending it. So let's just do it in the right way so that you can take this investment and put it into something that's not just going to have to be refilled every single week, but it's something that literally has 10-year warranty. It's hooked up to the refrigerator, saves you money, it saves you health, a million different reasons why it was a good thing, and they absolutely jumped at it once they kind of saw that once we peeled back the layers of the onion, it was actually going to save them something every single month.
Absolutely.
So what we did, we get a lot of folks that they like to go out and get a couple of estimates, a couple of quotes,
right?
And that's fine. And we actually encourage that. I love to do that because then they have an example of what the competition is actually offering them. And we actually have a bounty out there on that. So we give a discount on our product just for the competitor bids, the packets that people get, because to me information is critical. I like to know who's out there playing in the sandbox, and I like to make sure that I know exactly what they're offering, because we crush it. But it's nice to be able to prove that to folks all the time.
Yeah.
But we have a whole list of things that when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about what makes Connecticut Advanced Water Systems here in Richmond a different and a better choice. But it looks like we're up for our commercial break here. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. And we got more interesting things that we're going to talk about with making buying decisions. Welcome back to the next segment of the Water Guy Show with Paul with Connecticut. Actually, Connecticut Advanced Water Systems, and we've got
Ethan Bodsford on mic number 2.
Fantastic. We're going to keep you excited about water. We were just joking around during the break that all of our products, all of our water is filtered, but I take my filter off when I come in here. So before the break, we were talking about basically a little bit about me and how I started as a customer, and now this is my career, my life, and I don't really see it ending like my previous career, where you had an end date, and you're like, I'm going to go to there, and after that point, I'm going to retire. But with this, I really don't see retiring, because I learn something every single day, and I would feel guilty if I can't continue to share all this knowledge with my team and continue to help folks.
That's what the podcast is for, though, right?
Yes.
So whenever you're ready to hang up the hat, there is you from the past out there on the internet to keep everybody informed.
Keeping me immortal.
Exactly.
At least on this show.
That is exactly what it is.
It is funny because we actually use this show, a lot of my team, it's hard to touch people every single day.
Right.
Everybody's busy. We're all running in 100 different directions. And my own team loves kind of listening to these things after the fact, because they say, I learned something just from listening to that last episode. So that's pretty cool. It makes me feel like I'm living on. But I'm not the only person that's a Connecticut customer, obviously. And we'll get into some more little details in a little bit here. But I don't get very excited about things. My friends all say I'm allergic to sports, because if I'm not doing it, I'm not going to sit there and watch it. That's who I am.
Right.
So when I see something that really gets me kind of pumped up, if you ever go to the doctor, they usually have I think it's HGTV playing up there, and they've always got like some flip this house or remodeling show going on.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the time of all my appointments, but every single time it seems like I'm at a certain doctor. There's the Property Brothers, which it's those tall guys, the Drew and Jonathan Scott, and they're brothers, so they're of course it's entertaining just to see the dynamic there.
Yeah.
But I used to watch it, and I come from a background of remodeling, so they for the most part they know what they're doing. They're good. They're not just some pretty face that they stuck on somebody swinging a hammer. They have some knowledge behind it. So these guys, both of them actually, one of them started, and then the second one kind of followed suit. But obviously they were on one of their personal houses. They knew that they needed. One of them knew that he needed water treatment. Because of course that's the business you're in. You find out how damaging it can be on your laundry and your countertops and your shower doors and pretty much everything that water touches. So if you're building a new house, if anybody's checked on prices on anything lately, anything that you buy is ridiculously costly.
Yeah.
So these guys know that they need water treatment to protect their investment. So they actually, I can't remember which one it was. One of them actually came to Connecticut, our manufacturing. Basically, Connecticut is, I should probably back up. Connecticut is the manufacturer of the products that Advanced Water Systems is a dealer of. So Connecticut was invented back in 1970 up in Newbury, Ohio. And it's the only non-electric system out there that uses basically clean water to clean itself. So it's pretty amazing, and these two engineers nailed it right from the beginning. A lot of those original parts after that first year are literally have remained unchanged for over 50 years. So it's kind of crazy that I can go into a unit from the early 70s and actually go in there and do a complete overhaul on it with all new parts, and everything is identical to how it was at the beginning.
Huh.
So yeah, it has withstood the test of time, and that's Connecticut, the manufacturer, who is represented worldwide with authorized dealers. So there's dealers in the U.S. and Canada, over in Europe, pretty much everywhere in the world at this point. And Advanced Water Systems Group, of which I am one of, I believe it's 12 offices now. We are the largest Connecticut dealership in the world. So I'm part of a very big organization here as it relates to the Connecticut products. And we are authorized dealers. So that being said, Jonathan, I think it was, went to Connecticut, the manufacturer, and he said, look, I know that I need water treatment. And I also know that Connecticut's the best. So I want the Connecticut water treatment in my house because I want the best. And Connecticut was kind of shocked. They're like, this is very odd. Is there a hidden camera or something going on here? But he literally did it because he sought out the best stuff.
Right.
And he came to Connecticut. They didn't seek him out. And long story short, there's a difference between an endorsement and a testimonial.
Right.
So I'm trying to think of an endorsement. Air Jordan would be a terrible example because he actually wears them.
Let's
Who does endorsements?
let me Merriam-Webster this real quick.
Yeah, so an endorsement is basically you're paying somebody to say something about your product. That's as simple as it can probably be made. A testimonial is somebody says something about your product with no necessary transfer of money. Basically, if somebody gives you a testimonial, they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart because they truly believe in what they're saying.
Yeah.
Versus the guy who's saying whatever just because he's going to collect a check.
It's not a you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of relationship.
Exactly. Now, in all fairness, I'll just tell you, the Property Brothers. So there's no endorsement on anything that they have done with Connecticut.
Right.
They did get a free Connecticut system as a result of this because their testimonials are so powerful.
Right.
But we didn't have to go into, or they didn't even want to go into the endorsement arena. But their endorsements start in the millions.
Wow.
Minimum.
That's big.
Yeah, that's big. So these guys, the one brother got the system first. And his other brother, not to be outdone, he of course got a Connecticut system because they both knew it's the best.
Right.
And so both of them have it. So both of them are basically in exchange for the products, which is you're talking $10,000 probably for what they got.
Okay.
They gave up millions, multi-millions of dollars just because it was the right thing to do. So this guy kind of goes full circle because I was talking about passion. And I don't get worked up over sports teams. I could care. They're all endorsements.
Right.
They're getting paid to do something.
Right.
These guys have actually done this because they know that it's the best. And they gave up millions of dollars to be able to give a testimonial. And that's just the coolest thing, that somebody would give up millions of dollars. Would Connecticut have probably paid them? I don't know that. They probably would have. I mean, everybody knows, once you see them, you're like, oh, I know those guys.
Yeah.
You know him?
Yes.
Yep. See?
Yeah.
As soon as I showed him the picture, he knew exactly.
That just means you're listening to good people too.
Yeah. So, and it goes with the whole, everything that Connecticut stands behind. Make a good product, make it the best. Don't take advantage of people. And when something does what it says it's going to do, and it does it for a very long period of time, that's value. Yeah. There's price and there's value. There's a particular car out there that I saw the sticker on it when it was new. It was a $104,000 car. You can, and this car is 10 years old now. In excellent condition, that car can be purchased for less than $20,000. It's just one of those things. There are certain things that there's value, and then there's price. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to drop in 10 years 90% of your value, it depends. I mean, if that's what you want, that's what you want. But with your water treatment system, it's not a flashy thing that you can drive around like I talked about a few minutes ago.
Right.
You want it to work. You need it to work. A lot of times it's protecting your health, your well-being. Yeah. You don't want to think it's going to work because you were promised from the dude that or the lady that was on the other end of the phone in Florida or wherever they may be having their home base, and they promise you, oh, it's a miracle cure, it's going to do everything, and if it doesn't, we'll take it back. There's guarantees, and then you find out later on that because they don't have anybody that actually would come out and test your water and see if it's actually working, you find out later it didn't do a doggone thing, except for the only thing that it removed was money out of your account. So yeah, there's that. There's the whole internet side of it. But we came up with obviously some reasons why, or maybe not reasons why, but things that you should consider before you make any decisions on who to go with or what to go with water treatment. And I lean pretty heavily on that testimonial. To me, that's just that you can't value that heavy enough. It's just amazing that literally they walked away from millions of dollars in order to give us that.
Yeah.
So, Advanced Water Systems, the group that I'm a part of, the dealership, there are or at least there were a couple of other companies in our geographical area that have a very similar name in their name. So it even trips me up because I don't like using advanced water systems in anything that I say. I actually like to use Connecticut Advanced Water because it explains a little bit better about, we're advanced water, but we're Connecticut dealers. Even though technically I'm not part of the Connecticut factory, but we are the authorized dealer here in the area. But if you're considering buying or having your water checked into, we came up with over 20 reasons. We just kind of lost track at this one point. But let's just go down the list. So, very first one, have you seen our Google reviews? So everybody wants to know about reviews. The days I wouldn't say they've passed because we still get some folks that want a good old fashioned recommendation or referral, somebody they can really talk to. And some folks are actually pretty specific. They're like, I want to talk to somebody that in my neighborhood. And the great thing is we've got people in almost every single neighborhood. And we've got a pretty doggone big territory here we're based in Richmond, but my office actually goes all the way down to the North Carolina border and goes over, includes Clarksville, goes halfway over to Charlottesville, up to between Doswell and Fredericksburg, and then over east to Williamsburg.
You got a pretty big area then.
Yeah, we cover well. Yeah, and it's even bigger than that. Today I was in D.C.
Yeah.
And this was a pre-recorded episode because obviously we're on in the morning. But we're recording this one, and I have had a very long day getting all the way up into D.C. and back because we're sought after because of our expertise with the Connecticut. There's some places up in areas that we don't normally go into that absolutely know that's what they want, that's what they need, and if they can't get it, that's going to be a problem. So I'm kind of contracted to go wherever somebody needs a Connecticut expert now. I guess it's flattering. Been doing this for myself since July 1st of 2015. So over 8 years at this point. But wow. Yeah, it's truly, I just love what I do. I'm almost too hands-on. I can't stand being in the office. But anyway, so for reason number one is the Google reviews. And the referrals are important, but in this day and age, I sound like my dad now, we see a lot more of online reviews and things like that, which it can be. There's a lot of shady stuff out there, but Google reviews are pretty well vetted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go off topic on this thing because when you see those testimonials and reviews that are on a competitor's website, most of the time those are just fake things that somebody stuck on there because it looks good.
Yeah.
Those aren't real. So you got to have a vetted review. Otherwise, all you've got is some wordsmith that just, came up with something catchy that they hope is going to trick you into thinking, oh, well, he did it. Maybe I should do it.
Yeah, like some sort of third-party review system.
Yes.
Like Google.
Like Google. And you know what? There's a lot of them out there, but I shouldn't call them sketchy, but Google, in my opinion, is the most reputable because I have seen, we've done a lot of marketing over the years, and I have been approached by numerous companies offering to put fake reviews on a website. Believe it or not.
Wow.
On Google. And I know of somebody that actually took them up on this because they were curious, what does that mean?
Right.
Are all Google reviews fake? Well, long story short, there is a small percentage, obviously, that could remain as just fake reviews, but Google does go in pretty regularly and cleans out reviews and make sure that they're real. So that's why I put a lot of my backing with the Google reviews. I don't really spread it out and get involved in all the other platforms. But to me, Google reviews are the most reliable. And they clean out things not just because they're, fake, but just because they, sometimes they time out. Sometimes I don't really understand maybe the user is no longer active, so they go ahead and wipe out any review that user may have posted in a prior life. Because we've been doing this for years, and literally I'll go in there and I'll be like, oh great, we got 190 reviews, and then the next day we have 186. I'm like, how in the world did we lose 4 reviews? So it's a give and take. So right now currently we are over 200, and they're all 5-star. None of them are solicited. They are all honest and hard worked for. So that's pretty tough to beat. Perfection is very tough to beat.
Absolutely.
So wow, I am already running into our next break here. I just looked up at the clock, and I realized that we're going to have to take a break now. Don't go away. The Connecticut Water Guy Show is going to be right back after these messages. All right, welcome back. Thanks for joining. This is the Connecticut Water Guy Show. And we have
Ethan on mic 2.
Ethan on mic 2 over there giving me an assist today.
Absolutely.
And we are rounding up the last segment of our episode today, which is kind of one of those things that the easiest way to say it is these are all things that you're going to want to consider before you say yes to any water treatment company. So we talked a little bit before about the differences between testimonials and endorsements, and really right off the bat, one of the big reasons why Advanced Water Systems, the Connecticut dealer, not anyone else that has that name by happenstance, they check out our Google reviews. Basically, we got 200 perfect ones as of 10/27/23. So if anybody's tagging that or trying to fact check it, yes, it is true. 201, as a matter of fact. Very, very proud of that accomplishment, because every single one of those is a 5-star review with wonderful comments. Everybody, most of the time, doesn't just give a 5-star. They give some great feedback and that we share with our team, and that's what keeps everybody motivated to do their best every single day, even though you might not feel your best.
Yeah.
But basically, one of the things, and this is why you would choose us over the competition more than anything else, obviously, because we are the only Connecticut dealer. But Connecticut's twin-tank non-electric systems were invented in Newbury, Ohio in 1970. They were invented in the United States. They have been manufactured in the United States ever since, which is over 50 years at this point.
American-made, baby.
American-made, yep. Connecticut is a worldwide company, and it is represented by a network of authorized dealers. Advanced Water Systems, which I am one of the offices. We've actually got like 12 offices. It's crazy. We have Richmond and Chesapeake, down into the Carolinas and down into Georgia, and then just because we have Denver, Colorado. Long story with that one, but we're all excited to do a winter meeting out there.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a little skiing, which is done on water when it freezes, so it's all relative, right?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to make it work.
It's a circle of life.
Circle of life, exactly. Advanced Water Systems is the first or second largest Connecticut dealer in the world. It depends on what year we're in, but this year we are on target to again be number 1. But it's been a battle between number 1 and number 2, but we're doing it this year. We have over 10 locations officially, a couple distribution centers, things like that. But yeah, we were started actually back in 1987 in Morehead City, North Carolina, and it's a great story. It's actually on the website, and and you can check that out. I actually would encourage you to check out all of the stuff that we've got on our website, which is ConnecticutRichmond.com. I haven't even mentioned our phone number one time, but it's 877-60-WATER. Go to our website. You can go to our YouTube channel, which is, you'll search for Connecticut Richmond. We got some videos out there, all sorts of things. Great information. But one of the things you could find is the story behind advanced water systems. So it was family started, and it's still family. And actually, most of the family still works in some of the offices, primarily the Wilmington and Raleigh and Morehead City. But yeah, it was started out of necessity. The original founder was from Ohio, which is where Connecticut was born. And up in Ohio, the water is horrifically bad. We hear it all the time from people that move here from there, and we reassure them that it's nowhere near as bad as what you probably are used to, but it still needs treatment. But when the founder, Gene, was up in Ohio, he basically needed a system. And this was back in the early 70s, and he ended up buying a Connecticut. And then he decided that he was going to go ahead and relocate to Morehead City, a beautiful Morehead City, North Carolina, and he knew he needed some help down there. And this was back in 86, and he was like, oh, I need to get a Connecticut. Well, there wasn't a Connecticut in that area back in 86 because they were, only like 15, 16 years into this whole thing. Yeah. So Connecticut said, well, why don't you start a dealership? And that's how we began. He needed a softener. The only way to get a softener was to start a dealership. So he started a dealership, and we have grown to, like I said, like 12 different offices. We've got, I believe it's 150 employees. Wow. Company-wide. And we are this year on track to crush and be the number one largest dealer in the world. That's important, not just because we're not just bragging and pounding our chest about that. That's important because if something happens to me, let's say I have a horrible accident, I'm leaving this episode, I've got folks that will be in after a moment of bereavement. They'll be in here and they'll be basically taking my place and making sure that our customers don't get impacted. And that is absolutely one of the big differentiators between us and most of the competitors that are out there, because most of them are what we call one-man shows. They're getting equipment from wherever they can get it from, or they're getting parts from wherever. They're building things in their garage, and it's them, maybe one other helper. But we've seen actually 4 in the last 12 months that have decided that they've just had enough of this, and they're just no longer in business. They just decided they're going to retire. So we get calls literally daily saying, hey, I've been trying to reach, so-and-so. They're not even answering their phones anymore. And I don't understand it. I just got this system a year ago, and, it's got a warranty, blah, 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 but he won't answer the phone. And we do our best to let them know that, hey, we can take care of a lot of stuff besides Connecticut. And we welcome everybody because, if you see what we're all about, even trying us out with something small, maybe an add-on, something that wasn't done just properly from your existing system, or one of our biggest things is drinking water, because most of our competitors don't even sell drinking water. They don't understand the importance of that, which is good for us, but bad for customers. Yeah. But we welcome all of these folks in here. The warranties, they disappeared when the owner of that business disappeared. Yeah. So unfortunately, people are kind of out of luck on a lot of this stuff, and if we can track down what it is, then a lot of times we can get parts, because we not only have the best, we also have some economy stuff, which actually goes right into another cool thing. Advanced Water Systems is it's an authorized dealer of the Connecticut product, which means that we're the only ones that qualify to be able to sell it in certain geographical territories. But it means also that if there's a solution out there that is not made by Connecticut, we are not obligated to say, hey, we can't help you. Sorry.
Right.
So I like to say that the difference between a franchise and a dealership, because everybody's like, oh, you're a franchise. And it's like, no, definitely not a franchise. And the difference between a franchise is that I like to use McDonald's, for example. And I'll probably get in trouble for this, but you know what? I don't have a filter. So it's the only thing around me that doesn't have filters. But the McDonald's has awesome fries, but I love the Whopper. So you go into McDonald's and you try to get a Whopper and the fries. You're not going to be able to get that because that may be, to me, the best combination, but I can't get it in one place. So that's what happens when you have a franchise. But if you had a burger dealership, then you could be like, all right, I'm going to get you your fries from over here, and I'm going to get you your Whopper from over here so that you have truly the best system for you. So that's actually an analogy that I do use when I'm trying to explain it to folks, and you really get it when I relate it to hamburgers for some reason. But yeah, I'm a little slap happy now. So we've got real warranties honored by real people. We've got the best selection of whatever it is that you might need. Not just equipment, but we have service on that equipment.
Right.
You would think everybody can service what they sell, but a lot of this stuff is just, I hate to say it, but sometimes they just pick up whatever they can find at the local plumbing supply house. And it's kind of like, I won't use the brand name, but it's like a big box deal place. I can't really beat around the bush, but basically it's not always the same stuff there.
Right.
You may get one brand of hot tub one year, and then poof, that brand is gone, and they have an entirely different brand the next year, if they have it at all.
Right.
So it's one of those things that they don't service anything that they sell over there, and it changes. And that's the case in a lot of water treatment things as well, but not the Connecticut stuff. We've got real service. Better than that, we actually have a great program. It's a software type program that will help us to make sure that we can save our customers as much money as possible by minimizing the amount of visits that we do, which of course maximizes the amount of savings. So if you go in every 3 months and you really don't need to be there for 6, then you're really, in a lot of aspects, you're wasting the customer's money. So we try to do everything we can to be the most efficient at not only the equipment, but the service that goes along with it. So all of the folks that you would encounter with us are all in-house employees. We don't have any subcontractors. There's plenty of folks in the business that it's a one-man show, and they have a plumber that shows up, or somebody else that shows up whenever they want them to, but they have no ties at all to them. So pretty much, everybody is an employee. We are all committed to this. That's all we do. And one of the first things that we end up doing after we get a chance to get to know who our client is we test. Test the water.
Oh, test the water. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We test the water. And that may sound just obvious, right? But there are people out there that I will quote. I'm not going to say who it is. They quote said, "I don't need to test the water. I just know what's in it." Said that to me. And I'm an engineer by training. So there are things that you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And to have the arrogance to say, I know everything that's in the water, I don't need to test. What he's really saying is, I have no idea how to test the water. And I probably went to timeshare selling school and I have no soul. So now I'm out there trying to scam people with water treatment systems, but I'm doing it in such a way that they can't prove that it doesn't work because I never tested to begin with. That's the interpretation of and I know that was a little, like I said, my filter is gone right now. But that's the reality. Don't get suckered in. If somebody says that they don't have a test kit or they already know what's in your water, unless they can show you some results from your neighbor or from the same water source, I would be very skeptical about anything that they would say after that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got limited lifetime warranties on a few pieces of equipment here. This is our office's special. This is something that I threw out there to make sure that if you want to play in the sandbox that I'm in, that we're going to stomp on you. Nobody's going to be able to touch a lifetime warranty unless you're going to be out of business in 2 years. And I cannot think there was a company just irritated me to no end. Came in probably about 6 years ago, and he had the nerve to actually advertise in the exact same publication that I did. And he's like stole all of my design. So it looked like he was related to us, and I was furious because I'm like, this guy, never even heard of this person before, never heard of this company.
Right.
And long story short, he's going out there telling people he's got 15-year warranties. Well, Connecticut has 10-year warranties, but the reality is that that's a 10-year warranty. That's not the service life. That's like saying you got a 100,000-mile warranty on your car, but you get 1 million miles out of it. Well, let's just say that a few people that I ran into liked the idea of 5-year longer warranty. Well, like we talked about before, he was a one-man show. 24 months after he got into town, he was gone. Poof. And all these people are sitting there with equipment that they think has a 15-year warranty, but it actually has a 0. What we call a tail light warranty, pretty much.
Yeah.
Once the tail lights leave the driveway, you're on your own. But we have real warranties, and we are actually going to be around to honor them.
I was about to say 15 years so far. I don't think y'all are going anywhere.
No.
Yeah?
No. Yeah, that's crazy. And we are not even through like half of the reasons. But I want to hit some of the highlights here because we're running down to the last minute and a half. A lot of folks that are getting a water treatment system, if you have a septic system, you need to at least ask the question about how much stuff and how often is stuff being put into your septic. Now, anybody that does septic that's listening to this is going to say, oh, you don't put anything in the septic. Well, and technically that's the safest approach, but that's not always reality. And we can talk about that. I don't have enough time right now, maybe on a future episode, but let's just say that if I have, and I do have a septic, I would not put a conventional system in my house because I don't want to take the risk of messing up my septic. But the Connecticut is the safest system for the septic that you can put in there as long as it's set properly and maintained properly. But anyway, septic systems, be very cautious. But, man, we got so much more content. We're going to have to do this on the next episode.
Oh, yeah.
Which will be here next week. So 877-60-WATER. Give us a call Monday through Friday. The whole team is ready to help you 9:30 to 5:30. And you can go to our website at KineticoRichmond.com. That's KINETICO, Richmond, like the city.com. Check us out. If you have anything, any comments, any things you want to hear about on a future episode, please share with us. But don't go anywhere on Saturdays, and we hope to catch you next week on the Water Guy Show. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Connecticut Water Guy Hour. Join us next week for another edition with Paul, your Connecticut water guy. Opinions expressed on the program may not necessarily reflect the views of station management and ownership. Portions of the recording.